Welcome to Stock and Options Trading Unlocked.
If you want to learn how to make 6 or 7 figures a year trading 2 hours a day, this is the show for you.
We're here to talk about everything trading, weekly news, tips, and special guests to get you motivated and profitable.
Don't forget, everything you hear is opinion only and not to be considered financial advice.
Here are your hosts, Athul Patel and David Picard.
Hello, everyone. There we go. Not like completely
Hello.
So lighting is still kind of weird, kind of orange today.
A little bit.
But not sure why, but that's fine. Kind of like I'm on Mars, okay? Okay, the secret's out. I'm actually on Mars. Elon kind of beat you there. Sorry, buddy. No, it's weird. It's weird lighting. I don't know what's going on. But wow, what a week! Some incredible back-to-back days. In the market, it's kind of like acting like its old self. Buy the dip, and yeah, it's been a wild week.
It's been exciting.
Need to see the upside coming finally after 7 months of selling, 8 months of selling.
It's been quite a few, right? Since pretty much the end of the year. So
Yeah. Now
it's
that
interesting. I think, well, SPY sitting right around that 400 mark. I think it's going to have, that 410, 420 is going to be a real pivotal spot. At that point,
Yeah.
it could be a great short if it gets slammed down, but if it rips through there, interesting.
Yeah, no, I think that last dip. Remember, I was kind of talking about how that. I don't remember what level it was that I was talking about, but it looked like I was like, guys, all these people. Remember? Oh yeah, it was just like earlier in the week, the way that we hit that last dip, and I was like, guys, I think this is capturing shorts. Right,
Yeah,
the way it wasn't
sweet.
dropping, there wasn't follow through on the selling, and I think everybody was used to. So what happens on the end of these, after multiple drops, what happens is the selling gets exhausted, but you still have people loading up short for that next leg down toward the end, and then when you have a key level breached on the upside.
Cover.
That 386, 388, 390, and now 394 because it was the last major one.
Yeah.
And we've been grinding since. Even on names where their earnings aren't even great, but they're grinding higher. Right? They're not even great earnings, and we're still grinding higher. And that tells you, in my opinion, that's saying people are covering, or people are getting squeezed, and then also just.
Or they
the
might
right time to
have
buy.
cashed out so much that they're sitting on cash and they're going, I need to do something. And
There are some people
this
starting to
looks
do that
like
too.
kind of the right
Yeah, it
place
is
for
the right.
institutions to start buying back in, maybe.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, maybe.
I don't know. I'm just saying.
I think folks are still cautious. I mean, things are. I think somehow in the last week or two, things have changed, or the tone has changed, where we were going from doing a 1% rate hike to now people are saying quarter or half, a 3/4 point, and I'm hearing mixed things from folks, and so the neat thing is
I think on top of that, they're believing they're going to be able to thread this needle, right? At the end of the day, is what more comes down to avoid disaster.
Yeah, right. So we'll see. I mean, right now at this point, I'm kind of expecting. I think we're going to have I was kind of hoping for a gap up tomorrow and a gap up reversal and some profit taking either tomorrow or Monday. I was looking for 5 green days, and then the 6th day turning into a gap up reversal. So that might have been. I have to take a look again and see what day that is, but soon. I was looking for a gap up reversal. So we'll see if they save the market after Snap's carnage.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I mean, Snap took Meta and Google down with its earnings, and I think Snap was sitting at what, 17, and last I looked at it was like 14 or something.
Let me pull it up. I think it was down like 25%, right?
Yeah.
Got annihilated. It's at 12 right now.
Oh wow.
Just annihilated.
Yeah. And I don't know if you were on voice on Discord, but I kind of shared and said, hey, the plan I made was common short on Facebook or Meta, sorry, at 180 stops 182, targeting that 170, 172, and we got it, the 10-point drop.
Yeah.
So that worked out really nice for a nice little after hours trade. Yeah, I haven't done that in a while. I used to do that a lot. I might have to come back, and now that we're back in earnings season, and some of these stocks have been split. Now they're not like ridiculous dollars amounts for equity trades.
Yeah,
Get back to
and I think
some-
we've talked about that a couple times lately. It's also starting to be, if we are going to have a bullish swing, right, could be a good place to look at, getting long some interesting names depending on what happens.
If you're as long well, I don't know. I'm not ready.
You're not ready?
Not at all.
There's a couple that I peeked at.
Yeah, I mean, I think there could be a run. I would let me phrase that. From a swing standpoint, I think anywhere from a 1 week to maybe 6 week time frame for a swing, I'm kind of like open. But I think we're gonna start seeing some sell. If we get 410, 420, and we're talking about a swing into 420, yeah. But if you're thinking like, hey, this is the bottom long term.
No.
Okay.
I'm thinking longer term, because like what I was really looking at. I was a little bit looking at HD, actually, Home Depot.
Okay.
And what it had to do with is thinking about people staying in homes longer with rates being higher, even if they don't go up as much. The projects that people have been holding off on because they were thinking about moving, finding a new home, or maybe because of the supply chain issues, I think they're going to dive into soon. So it was just more a weird play that I normally...
Yeah, I mean, there's probably some names out. I'm sure there's some names out there.
It's just stuff I'm not normally doing on the day-to-day, but I think there could be some interesting opportunities opening up here in the future.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm overall still of the mind that we still have one big dump coming. Probably latter half of the year. But I'm right now bullish near term, like for the next month maybe. It's all, we'll see if it's all going to
You're
come
longer than probably me. I think 410, 420 is where I'm hoping we go.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm looking for that, and then I'm looking for that to fail. But we can always squeeze longer than people expect. So we'll see what happens. I mean, we've had a huge run. I mean, there should be some profit taking at some point. So we'll see what develops. But we've had some really killer trades this week and even this afternoon.
Beautiful.
When we can plan for a squeeze. Yesterday the squeeze didn't happen, and so I think I lost on a planned squeeze trade. But then today it made up for it, so that was nice. But yeah, so I think with that, let's go ahead and start. I think we already started talking about the market madness.
I'm sorry, talking about the market. Sorry, I jumped right into it. I was excited.
Yeah, no.
I pulled up my platform. I was looking at charts. I got back from the gym, started thinking ideas. I had a couple of notes written down. Start talking.
That's all right. Let's just do it. So market, I think we'll see what tomorrow does. The numbers aren't great. So I overall don't think the numbers are right, but they're mixed. But we've been beaten up so much that we're gonna get some. If you get a little upside, like it doesn't take much to squeeze them. Like I was bearish on Tesla. I was like, I don't really like this thing. I think we should, but thankfully, I'm not married to you know, I have to an idea. Like I love price action. So if the
Really
price,
good at that.
you know, so if the price action, like I remember on pre-market prep today, I was like, hey, I want to go short Tesla if it gets to this level, but the price action was saying, nope, we're going up, we're going higher, and so I think I tried one short on it after it got to like 790 or something like that, or 786, I think, no, 782, something like that. But basically looking for that push and fail, and it held. And then after that part, I was like, okay, we're gonna go higher. Looks like an all-day grinder to me, and you know, it takes him 800 calls, and we got to almost 820.
About 1980.
And
Good
yeah,
enough.
yeah, those went from $6 to almost 20. No, they went to 22, I think, on those calls. But
What was interesting, they seemed to stay juiced, right?
they did.
Which
They
I thought was
somewhat
interesting.
juiced. They did definitely stayed somewhat juiced. I mean, Tesla, I think, was looking like it's going once 830 to 850 tomorrow, unless market just completely blows up.
No, I agree. I normally don't mention the IV staying like that, but after earnings, right? Especially on a big move, you'd expect a little bit of that to come off, right?
No,
That normal,
no, it was just
their
flying.
premium was there.
It just kept flying. I was like,
Yeah.
okay, oh boy. And so we'll see. You know, like I didn't. You know, I was wrong, but that's okay. I have my thing about when I'm wrong, just, you know, I don't mind flipping directions with double the size. Because
You're good with that.
you know, it's because when you know, there's, if you're flipping and you're flipping because there's plenty of room in the other direction, so go for it, take it.
That is key.
Yeah. So it was that, you know, I didn't like the way Tesla pushed yesterday and then came all the way back, and then it started grinding, which was kind of bullish then. And then it held 860. I mean 760. Remember 760 was a tough level for it.
Oh yeah.
You know, that was a multi-month break out. So we were gonna have a big move one way or another, and so it's a multi-month consolidation range break.
High of day yesterday was just over 750, 752.
Yeah. And so finally it did it. Anything else you want to add about the market that you see? I mean, we have Fed next week.
Yep. I don't think anything other than kind of the things we already discussed really market the bigger picture. Kind of, I'd like to see that 410, 420, hopefully for the opportunity to short. So if it doesn't come though, it's okay.
You said you had some swing ideas, maybe? You want to share anything?
Sure. This isn't really a swing idea. This was an overnight. I was talking actually Tilray today, because it had some interesting options flow, which we'll talk about later, everyone, as one of our tools of the trade. But if you, they were getting slammed yesterday on their $4 strikes. And there was a really large chance if those didn't get dumped off in the morning and they kept piling on, we could have seen a gamma and a short squeeze. And it creates kind of a synergistic effect if you're not aware, and it really, you know.
So where did it run to today?
It didn't, because they had nothing happened in the space. There was some news in the space, and it didn't really do much. So I just said, hey, not for me, but it could have went, 5, 7.
Yeah, no, I've seen when Tilray moves, it can move.
Yeah, so it was just, I was hawking that. Another one that I came across was actually MOO, and I've never traded it before, so I'm just getting used to this one. I got to really take some time with this chart for a swing. It's an agricultural ETF. Mm-hmm. And so once again, this is going to be a longer term trade for me. Not even as short as a normal swing would be.
Right.
So I'm still identifying the exact time frame that I'm thinking, but I'm thinking maybe 6 months out.
Okay. Yeah. So So I kind of consider that as a positional trade.
Yeah.
Think about it. So swing for me is, um, anywhere from a couple days to a few weeks.
For sure.
And then positional is where I'm going to hold for multiple months.
Yeah. I just don't know when the move is coming.
Yeah. Cool. Well, then let's get into the 1K bets for the week.
Sure.
And all right, so I've got see if I can move this around a little bit, but you can see here. This was a trade from this afternoon, like right around 3:30. I shared with the group that, I was kind of saying, hey, all morning I've been saying, hey, I think this 4,000, 4,000 plus is coming, right? Actually, all week I think I've been saying it, and into next week, that by next week we should see it. And anyway, so kind of watching the market and the price action. I wasn't sure if we were going to get a faker pop and then a dump, because I think we're real close to some profit taking. But we ended up setting up price action wise for a possible squeeze into the close. And so when you reverse engineer the math, I was looking at, hey, the 39.90 calls, I think it could hit near $10 if into the close. Like SPX could hit 4,000 basically into the close, and that would make the 39.90 calls around $10 maybe if it gets there. And so I actually threw in one account this morning earlier, I just put a YOLO out there and said, hey, if I can get the 39.90s for like $1 or $1.50, let me grab some contracts. So that filled, and I totally forgot about it actually. I was just kind of scanning through like, oh, why is there a position in this account? I don't remember filling. I don't remember taking this trade, and I'm like, oh, hey, cool, okay, I got it. Because it was neat, because when I happened to look at it, I think those were $1.50-ish. And when I looked at it, it was like $3.50. I'm like, that's always a nice feeling. But anyways, kind of alerted the community that I kind of like the idea at $2. Because if it gets to even close to that, I think we should see $8, which is a 4-bagger or 3-bagger for the return. But it's basically, $2 that goes. I can sell if I can sell it at $8, or so. And then we just started running in out of time, so I got a little bit worried, and so I kind of alerted this at half an hour. Took 20 minutes of consolidation from the point I was seeing this set up, and it basically by the end of the day, it got to $8 to $10. So if you took that as $1,000 bet, right, then you would be taking 5 of these contracts at $2. And let's just say you didn't even sell it at $8 or $9 all the way, right? You sold it at $7 on average. Because one of the things I like to do is if I get double or triple, so if I get to $6, I'm going to try to lock in half. Because that way, no matter what, even if the other contracts go to 0, I'm going to make money, right? And when you have these end of day contracts, they can go to 0 very quickly. Remember, we had one the other week where it went from like I don't know, $2-3 or something, to $17 and then to 0. Right. So any of that kind of stuff can happen in a day. So if you get a triple, that's not bad, right? I mean, let's just be honest. Like, folks are pretty happy about 100%, and we get 300%. Yeah, it's good, right? Like, you guys, you get 2x, 3x. I'm gonna lock some in, and then the rest. So that's why I'm saying a $7 average versus max gain, max possible, right? But and then so that was kind of a nice one, right? So I was just letting everybody know, hey, I filled in this, came back to $2, $1.80, I think here, before it actually started moving. But it went from here to $4, so that was a quick double. Then came back, and then dipped again, and then finally it did the move. So that was a nice $1,000 trade bet.
Great.
Right? You can, if you can sell for or make a $3,000, it's not bad.
Yeah. Few hours of work, not too bad.
So
Sitting in a chair, working hard.
yeah. The okay, so then there's another one we had. Now this is one I want to talk about because so most people know that I don't swing too much. That's because I didn't trust the way the market has been. And given the way that the market's moved over the last month, last couple weeks, I'm starting to say, it's okay to maybe swing sometimes more, especially with earnings, right? Where I expect a multi-day move. And so this was one that I totally screwed up, right? So totally, so if you guys, if you recall, like on, I think it was Monday, I was saying at the end of the day into the dips, it was Monday, that, hey, I really like these Goldman Sachs after the earnings that they had, that to get the 310 calls for like 80 cents to $1. And my plan with Target was, hey, for us to be able to sell it for between $3 and $8, right? And that was just because I'm just looking at next day, the next level. But the bigger picture trend is that if it clears that, it could actually go to 320 to 324 by end of week. So guess who got out here?
You did.
And the swing miss, if holding into today, right? So on a $1,000 bet here, 10 contracts at $1. Hey, making $5,000 is not bad. I was pretty happy with that.
It's great. Absolutely.
But the swing side of it, that's a $10,000
It would have been okay
extra
just to swing 20%, and you still would have beefed up your profits.
Oh, it would have been huge. It would have doubled the profits on just 20%. So that was kind of like my, and I even thought about that. I was like, you know what, this should just go. I should just hold it, but I don't have that habit, right? Like for me, the way I swing, because I know how to scalp so well and how the things move up and down, that like I can see where exhaustion is going to happen and all this, and so I'm always trying to do this. But with some of these contracts, I mean, you can see how it thinned up. You're going to have to be pretty precise about your getting in and out, otherwise you're kind of can get messed up. That what I've kind of do for the tip of this is for me to swing, I've set up extra separate accounts. And what I do is I basically will put orders in to those accounts with bracket orders. And then I forget about it. I was like, Mo was asking, am I in? I'm like, no, I'm out. And I totally forgot that, no, the swing thing I was, because he thought I was swinging. But I totally forgot because of, when you do some of these, and guys, you should even do it, even if you're going to do it on paper. It's okay, right? Like at least build your skills. Don't have to always be trading real money while you're learning. But what I like to do again is in the swing accounts is because I will overmanage. My history, my experience is I will overmanage swing trades. Okay, get in, try to get out, get back in. Oh, dips too much. Okay, maybe I was wrong. All this emotion. Versus going, hey, look, I think it's going to hit here by X time. I'm going to get in. I'm going to take partial profit at these price points. And you just set the orders and put a stop in. And you're either going to make money or you're going to lose. That's what I have to do for swing trades. Because if I don't, I will overmanage it. I will totally miss, like I did on Goldman, a 10K extra win. Or actually, let's just say 5K extra, like taking... Yeah. But that's the tip, is maybe when you don't have to think about ways to adjust your business process to support the way you are, right? So in this case, hey, I don't need to have just one account that I do all my trading in. Hey, I can have multiple accounts. Think about that. And I can dedicate each account or, for different purposes. Mm-hmm. Right. One way to do, like in Tastyworks, I've got a bunch of accounts, and maybe I'll get hey, I'd like to take the $1,000 bets. Let's just say, so I set up 5 accounts with $1,000 in each of those. Now you make a bet. Whatever's going to happen has happened. and then you transfer the money out or to another account when you need to, and then you just don't have more than 5 positions running at any time. But that could be one way of doing it. Maybe you have 50,000, you put 10,000 in each one of them, or you have 10 accounts at 5,000 each. But whatever, my point is, find a structure that supports you and your business.
Yep, absolutely.
So that was that's all I wanted to share on this, and this was just me. I blew it on that. I totally didn't even think about setting up.
Still a good trade.
This was solid.
You executed
right?
your plan correctly, which was to day trade it. If you were planning
I was planning the overnight.
I
was planning the overnight swing, which I don't even do that normally. So I'm doing it then. So because I believe there's a high probability of this, and there was a bit more. So we'll get it next time. All right. So I think with that, let's move into our tip of the week, where we're in.
Up next, tip of the week.
Before we run into that, just so you know, there's a question from Alexander on any opinion on the GME split. Saw some decent put flow today.
I haven't actually looked at it, so, and I don't have my charts up right now. So I am just overall, I am looking at a profit taking event on GME after this run up on the split news.
Mm-hmm.
So I haven't looked at it because I've been busy with some of the other trades. But thank you for Alexander for sharing that. I will be sure to take a look at it. And actually, let me just take a quick look at it on my phone.
Yeah.
And I can maybe just look at the.
Looking at it on the yearly, it's an interesting place.
So this is after this. So the split is coming soon.
It's a 4-to-1 split, it looks like.
Yeah. So it's at 150, 151. It's been struggling with this area. Over 152 is like this range that it looked like it was breaking out of.
Mm-hmm.
It did get to 160, so 150 could be turning into support. But overall, I would take the lows and just draw a trend line. Alexander, on GME, and then just watch for that trend line to break and then back test, right? And then I think it should be there should be some decent profit taking or selling on that, unless there's some. The one thing that they also have is they launched the new NFT marketplace, and they had a bunch of volume of transactions in there, so they actually have some potential revenue there that could be change things up for them in a big way. But I don't know what the numbers are for them overall. So, if I do see this break, where do I see it going? I think it can come back down to 135, 130, or so if they come back and sell. But now for that to happen, I think Bitcoin needs to fail. Coinbase needs to also start dropping. Like the crypto names are on a rally right now. So when those start selling, that's where I think GME may also.
The 160 area is the prior bounce off the into the end of year sell-off that we had. That's where it bounced to and failed before it went down to about 90.
Oh yeah. And then it also had a squeeze rally through 160 up into 200, right? And then it sold off. So
correct. Yes, correct.
I mean, in some ways,
it's that's why I said it's an interesting area.
Yeah, I mean, if 160 can turn into support, this could definitely like squeeze and run. I think that's what people are kind of thinking, but I don't know. I just don't know. Like to me, if it can fail on this 148 again, maybe it heads lower. So, all right. I hope that answered your question, Alexander. Any response?
Not yet, but we'll see. I'll let you know.
Okay, cool.
Let's move on to get into it.
What tools do we use, right? And what kind of you should be thinking about. So we've talked about some of these in the past, but you want to make sure you have some scanners. You want to have access to education, to charting tools, to analysis, right? I find it incredibly helpful to not just have my own analysis, but others, right? Talking with other traders, and seeing, what is it that they're thinking, and because there might be opportunities out there that you're not even aware of. And so having a community or having thoughts shared is where you can find some additional opportunities. Then options flow, right? So we'll talk a little bit about that. But in the last year or two, options volume has increased by an order of magnitude. And so it can drive and move the market and move stocks now, I believe. And so it's important to also pay attention to order flow there. And I think a lot of it's also reflected in the way the charts move, but you can use we'll go into that when we get to the screen for that. So we'll do that. And then also another big tool is actually having a trade journal, right? How am I doing? How am I performing? What do I need to improve on? What did I do right? So all of those things are kind of needed. Okay, for scanners, what are the things that I look for, at least in mine, is I'm looking for something. I like to look for gaps. I like to look for news. I like to look for things that might have unusual volume, right? And I like to look for and then from a bigger picture standpoint, trend. What is a part of a bigger trend and maybe at the bottom of a channel or at the top of a channel or breaking the trend or changing trend, right? Having things like that. So one of the tools that I like to use for this is for the different scanners. So I do use black box stocks. They have their pre-market movers and what's moved in the pre-market. So I like that. I also like to use FinViz. So you can set a scanner up there based on certain criteria to give you a list of stocks and chart patterns and see, gives you a nice way to just review what potential trade setups are out there. So I like to use those for scanning. Volume is also something that from the BBS tool. And then trend is also something from that FinViz, right? Because they have those, they have some, you should, if you haven't had a chance yet, take a look at FinViz. It's a great tool out there, folks. Anything you want to add, David?
No, that's great. And some places allow you to make your own scanners. So if you have certain things you like to look at, sometimes I've liked to look at instruments, stocks making, 52-week highs, lows, or within a certain percentage of them. If you're looking for like different breakouts, stuff like that. So there's a lot of other ways, if you have specific indicators even you're looking for, you can create scanners that can kind of find that setup to help you identify that and kind of say, hey, here's the things I want to look at trading. Which one do I like? And how do I move forward?
That's right. I mean, Thinkorswim has that, right? A good setup tool. So does Interactive Brokers. So
like something simple, if you just wanted to say, hey, I'm looking for these two moving averages to cross or stack, right? You can do simple things like that. So
right. But the important thing there is you have to be consistent. So you set the scanner up, but it doesn't help if you set the scanner up and you never look at it. Okay. So you got to make sure that you have a process and a time that you kind of sit down and you do your homework, right?
And when you're using something, be consistent with it. You can't just jump from one to the other and go, hey, nothing's working. Yeah. You got to stick with it. You got to learn it. You have to understand it.
Absolutely. All right, let's move on to the next. Okay, so analysis. So, you want to make sure you have access, don't trade by yourself or alone. You want to make sure you have access to other traders and their insight, especially if you're new, to hear what do they think about market behavior? What do they think about stock behavior? Maybe they agree or disagree with you, right? And and it could be just timing, right? You could be both be right, and it could be just a function of timing. Um, but also what setups, entries, exits. So just expanding your breadth of potential plays. But remember, at the end of the day, it's your business, right? So just because someone else, is saying something doesn't mean that it's going to do exactly what they say, right? You need to own whatever trades you're doing. But it's helpful to have their insight, because sometimes some people are really good at certain things, really bad at other things, and you just need to learn how to filter those out, right? And then combine
or it just fits
and
their
then combine it with your
profile.
own, and combine with your own analysis, right?
I mean, I have a friend who, he's a great, great technical analyst. We talk all the time, but when he's telling me his trades, I don't always understand them or agree with like them as the way I would take it. I may take his analysis and say, hey, here's the way I'd like to do it. He specifically prefers to do spreads, and he's getting probably, I'd say he's risking 50%, and I'd say his risk is 2 times his reward, if I had to guess. But he's okay with that because that's what he does and knows. So just once
Right, but
again,
he must have a high win rate though. So
yeah, I hope so. Don't know exactly, but yeah.
yeah, you'd have to be able to
Yeah.
support a 2x risk versus the reward. So yeah, so you want to make sure you have access to analysis or other analysts and people, and so for those in our THT group, that's where I and David and a few others are available to share and talk about ideas. And I try to focus. I try to really focus on giving analysis for expected behavior, right? So I want to give stuff what I think is going to happen before it happens, because when I was starting out, I had alerts, but by the time the alert came out, it already moved, and the risk reward was skewed, and I would get wrecked. And so it was really important to me to try to share my thinking ahead of time, so that people can try to find the risk reward they like, the entries they like. Maybe people even get in at better prices than I get in. But it's about the idea, it's about where, the behavior that we're seeing, things like that. So that's what I kind of really try to focus on. And then like you saw some of the alerts that I talked about. I saw this like 15 minutes ahead of time, and getting in it. Sure enough, it came right back to my entry price before it did the move. And so, having a plan around things like that, you don't have to chase, right? I talk a lot about, hey, I like to get into this if it does this. Like I kind of want to enter roughly at this price if I can, right? I'm saying, think about it this way. A lot of times you have the initial move that a stock makes. I'm just giving a tip here. And the initial move, the stock is kind of saying, hey, here's what I'm thinking about doing. But then that doesn't mean you have to get in right then. Always be a little patient. Try to go, hey, I agree with that idea. Let me see if I can get it for less than it is at right now. And then, what would my stop be? And that's where that charting those options is going to help you answer those questions.
Yeah. And another tip, and it just kind of is like exactly what he's saying, just to maybe clarify, add to it in some way. If you see an idea you like, if you hear one from someone you're talking with, you don't have to rush to get in it. Take your time, analyze it yourself. Make sure you like it. Make sure you agree. Make sure it meets your business profile. Make sure it aligns with how you like to trade, the timeframes that you're willing to trade, all of that. And take your time entering the order, because you most likely have time to get it.
I would say a good portion of the times, right?
I don't know what percent, but
yeah,
it's...
I mean, yeah. Remember, there's chop before things move. A lot of times,
Yeah.
you can get in better prices. Um,
Better or the same again. So you don't
yeah,
need to, the whole point is you don't need to either get excited or have the fear of missing out and either, you know, chase or rush through what you're doing. Make sure you still take that time to do your own analysis. Just because someone that you know is another trader informs you of an idea.
all right, education. So it's important to have access to education for your tools. That's part of one of the tools. What skills are you missing, right? What don't you know that you should know? And then how to improve the various skills that come up in trading, right? Do you have access to education or a process to improve on your charting, to improve on understanding price action, to improve on how you plan trades, your risk management and sizing and patience, right? So make sure you have access to some form of education, ours or anyone else's, right? I mean, just important thing is, don't have to go it alone. Don't have to figure it out alone. Okay. There's so many tools out there, so much education out there. Our preference is ours because we're really kind of showing how I like to plan and do trades and get some incredible risk reward. But the important thing is figure out what you don't know, figure out what skills you're missing, find a way to get access to the education that will fill your skill gap. Okay, so I'll just leave it at that. Anything else you want to add, David?
Practice, guys.
Yeah.
So just because you learn something and you have awareness of it doesn't mean you're executing it. Okay. And your account doesn't know what you know, it knows what you do. So practice.
Yeah.
It's just like your body and your health, right? You can know everything you want about dieting, exercise, everything. But if you don't actually practice those day to day, you're not gonna, no change will occur.
Yep, that's so true. Completely true. All right, let's go move on to option flow. So, you may or may not know what options are. If you don't, I would say Google it. Yeah, it's just, it's option order flow and analysis can help you identify how people may be positioned, right? And I like to, for order flow and option order flow, I like to use the black box stocks. It's an inexpensive tool. I'll include links to any of the products or services that we talk about in here. I haven't put it in the description yet, but I will update and put it on there on our site. But yeah, I mean, you said earlier that you wanted to talk a little bit about option flow.
Well, no, I was just pointing out that it, was where that specific idea came from, right? So it's one of those things that just, hey, this is where we're getting ideas from, myself, you, whoever it may be, right? It's one idea source, it's one tool of the trade, right? Whether I'm looking potentially sometimes every once in a while for like, hey, this looks like it might be in here because we're seeing, this type of volume in this open interest, or if we're looking at a gamma squeeze because of something, right? And then you want to add on maybe a high short interest name, something like that. I think that's it. And I laughed at your Google comment because in a group chat of a bunch of guys, someone had mentioned something, and then one of the guys responded and says, what is this? Another guy's response was, you could have gotten a quicker answer by Googling it. So just that banter made me, you reminded me of it.
Yeah. Okay. I was trying to follow you for a second, but I get it.
When you told someone you're like, if you don't know what options are, Google it. That's triggered that in my head. So I started laughing.
Yeah, no, I mean, Google's great, right?
YouTube guys also back to education. Hey, you could YouTube stuff.
Yeah.
There's free, we're here on YouTube. There's great resources.
Absolutely. All right, so be sure to check out Black Box Stocks for their option flow. Shameless plug for them. The charting. Okay, so whoops. Looks like I didn't update the bullets for charting.
Like to.
I don't know what happened there. All right, so let's just we'll just talk about charting then.
Do you know what charts are?
So you should hopefully know what charts are. I like to use candlesticks. Some people like to use Heiken Ash sheet.
Yeah.
I like to use a 3-minute time frame. But the important thing is what tools, right? Charting. So some people go by charting, some people don't. In some ways you don't. I like to use it for, how do I say this? Figuring out support, resistance, patterns, price action. But at the end of the day, once that's established and figured out, you don't need to sit there and look at every candle move. Because what you've done is, if you're doing it right, you've figured out where you should be buying, where you should be selling, okay? What prices you should be or interested in. Then just set alerts. There's nothing for you to do until then, until those things happen. Because looking at the candlesticks and the charts, real time, every minute, is going to exhaust you mentally. It's going to make you want to overtrade. It's going to do all kinds of stuff that you don't need, right? Make a plan. Use the charts to help you plan trades out. Then use alerts or just a watch list or something where you've got, write down the numbers or the prices of the things that you're interested at. And when it gets there and you see the price near it, you're like, oh, okay, hey, now it's time for me to take a look at it, right? So that's just a neat thing about that, right? So use the charting to help you plan, but don't use the charting to have you execute by minute, or second by second. You can use it to help you kind of gauge the price action, right? When it's near your areas of interest. What I'm trying to get at is when things are in motion, in trend, don't get stuck on the chart where don't get stuck on that 1 minute candle in the chart. That's what I see a lot of people do. They get hung up in every little minute by minute movement, not the larger context.
Don't plan traffic.
Yeah.
Just watch the bigger picture of what your plan is and let it happen.
So the primary tool I use for my charting is Thinkorswim, because it does a great job of also charting option contracts. So that's kind of what I like to use. So I don't want to just chart the stock. It's an absolute must for me to also chart the option contracts. And so other platforms that I like, but I don't really use because it's missing the option contract, is like TradingView. Great charting tool. But it's a great charting tool for stocks and crypto and things, but it's lacking the options data that I need for my actual trading. So you might use it for planning and some other stuff, but I try to just do everything in one platform. Let's see, there's another great tool out there called TrendSpider. You can also look at that. For those that look at my charts, they know I don't really use much. I'm basically, my support and resistance levels and VWAP are my primary things. And then on a daily chart, I also like to pay attention to the 50-day and 200-day moving average. And mostly because I know that's what algos or larger institutional money might pay attention to. And so that might signal a shifts in buying and selling on a larger dollar amount, folks. So I like to use that, but that's it on charting. Just make sure you are charting, right? Make sure you have an idea of where things are moving from price to price. Where are people buying it? Where are people selling? Take a step back and just kind of go, hey, where does it make sense for you? Where is a good risk reward to buy and sell?
Yeah.
So
That was
yeah.
good, I think.
Okay,
Yeah.
let's move on then. All right, last one is trade journal. Okay, so are you logging and reviewing your trades? If you're not, make sure you are. I use Google
Shame on
Sheets,
you.
and there's another one called Trader Sync, which will actually log into your trading platform and let you import their trades and do all kinds of crazy analysis for you on your trades. The important thing is to log the trades, to review the trades, to understand what's working, not working. Okay. If you're, I can't stress enough about how important it is to journal your trades. Okay. All right. With that, I think let's move on to the 100K tip. All right, what's going to help you get to that 100K? All right. So when I first started out, I used to do a lot of scalp trading. Make some big wins with the big size and take some monster losses because of that big size. And I'm wrong.
With big size.
Yeah. And so you can trade smaller, but you focus on things that take a longer time frame to pay out, though sometimes it's only 15 minutes. But but generally, larger time frames lets you be you don't have to be as precise generally. You have more time to let things play out. But bigger picture trend trades are what you want. So, if something if you're like looking at my stuff and you have levels, you might have something that's got the potential of doing a 30, 40, 50 point move. Okay. So if it's got that, you can take a starter position and then have it working, have it dip, maybe take some profit, get back in a little bit. And then once it's confirming that it's actually doing what you want, you can actually add to your position, and now you're just risking your profit, right? And you can actually get ridiculously outsized gains, and juice your gains significantly by scaling in instead of just scaling out, right? There's times where you should be adding to your position when it starts working as opposed to taking it off. But that doesn't work if you're in a one-leg trade. You want to be doing this in trades that are going to have 2, 3, 4 legs, typically 3 legs, but you want to be able to say, if you're getting in early enough that you can see that first leg, it's starting to work, and then maybe able to add to that first leg, take a little bit off at the resistance, pulls back, it validates, starts turning again, you add some more. Now you can, and when it's about to start the second leg, you can now risk to your average, because if that second leg is true, it should never come back to your average price, right? And then you actually can double, triple your position. And so instead of taking a $2 gain on a 1x size maybe a $2 gain, let's say now you're getting a $10 move or a $15 move, but instead of having only 1x size, you might have 2 or 3x, right? You're using your profit, because if you're wrong, hey, you get out break even, no harm, no foul. But if you're right, instead of making $1,000, you might make $3,000. Instead of making $5,000, you might make $15,000 or $10,000. Okay, so learning how to do, so that's going to require some changing to how you're trading. Especially if you're a scalper, it took a lot for me to adapt, coming from that scalping world. And for example, the swing from Goldman Sachs, right? If I had said, hey, this is going to be that bigger picture trade, the swing, it is working. I'm in at that $1 at $8. I could have been doubling my position instead of just selling or reducing down to 20% and go, hey, you know what? As long as it doesn't go to $4, right?
Good.
I'm good. As long as it doesn't break back below 315, I'm good. Right? Or 310, I'm good because of the juice or whatever, right? I'm gonna let it play out. But that's the point I'm trying to get at, is you ideally are entering early to then have it move up and through a key level that will turn into support. And then you're adding on that support for the next leg. That's the key there, okay? But you're only going to be able to do that with these bigger picture trend trades, because if otherwise you might get caught up in chop, right? Things are moving, you're doing one leg, it moves up, spikes down, I'm going to add, and then slam. And it's just a little test, right? But now you've doubled at the wrong spot, and now you're already wrecked. And because you didn't do it right. So make sure you're, you know, and you're just doing, oh, I just want to move from, you know, it's a $2 move and when there's a $10 range. You don't want to be doing that. It's a great way to get hurt. Okay.
Makes sense.
All right. So I hope everyone found this helpful. Just to remember that you don't need to be doing your trading business alone. You don't need to start from scratch. We've got a lot of material. We've got a 12-week program to help you get started with your 2-hour trading business. And yeah, so and we're here to help.
We're here to help. Reach out to us.
Yeah, be here to reach out. And just a big thank you, guys. Thanks for coming. I hope it was helpful. Please like, share, give us comments. Let us know what we're doing good in this. Let us know if you have something else that you'd like to see, something that would help you. We're here to help you become better traders.
Yeah, and real quick, a Kumar out there had a question. He said, thoughts on BA for tomorrow? Boeing.
I don't have my charts up, so I don't have an opinion.
I'd say it's at an interesting point. This is it had a gap down to this 161 level. And I mean, you're running into earnings, right? So you got earnings coming up. What's the date on the earnings? The 27th. So, you know, next week.
Yeah,
I think look how it opens. I wouldn't, you know, you got to see how that price action opens, what the market does to really tell here. But it's this 160, 161 level is going to be crucial. Otherwise, it can get going. All right. Well, I hope that was helpful and look forward to seeing you all next week.
Perfect. Okay, thanks again, everyone. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, let people know that about what we're doing, invite them to come. And we'll see you next week.